Hey everybody, it's James from Wealthquest. Hey, earlier this week I had a conversation with a client that I wanted to share with you because I think it was really interesting and may help us in the season to come. This was a client who was terrified in the midst of the chaos, as many of us have been. As the market was falling and imploding, there was a whole lot of fear and anxiety, and yet early this week we had another conversation and she said she was feeling a lot better because the market was up last week. Things rallied a little bit and she felt good. And I pressed on it a little bit to make sure she understood it was not the market going up that actually made her feel better. It was her thoughts. She was having thoughts in the downdraft that sounded like, I'm going to run out of money, my portfolio is going to go to zero, everything's going to fall apart. And the market going up, even though it was a significant rally, wasn't the reason why she was feeling better. It was that she was actually having different thoughts. Those thoughts might be, hey, this may not be as bad as I thought it was going to be. Maybe we are going to be okay. And that's what was actually alleviating that fear and anxiety in her, not the market being up. And I say all that because the problem in this season is that we have the potential to be whipsawed emotionally really drastically. The fact that the market was up last week may have given all of us a collective sigh of relief because we were having thoughts that were less ominous. But I want to make sure you know we're not through with this yet. We're going to see data coming out that will have really extreme headlines. We're going to see news like the worst jobless claims ever, or the worst GDP decline since the Great Depression, or maybe ever. As the data comes out, there will be extreme statements because the media loves to make these comparisons and tell us that what we're seeing is the worst ever or the worst since. It's their favorite thing to do. And we're going to see just a steady stream of these kinds of headlines because this is what's coming. But the good news is, this is what the stock market has been anticipating. This series of bad news is what the market has been expecting. And so it may be a really confusing season as we get into this because we could see really terrible headlines and the market might even rally or may be flat in the face of terrible news. But it's because the news wasn't quite as terrible as the market thought it was going to be, right? And so this is a really strange environment as we're about to walk into this data deluge. And I just want to encourage all of us to monitor our thoughts, to pay attention to what we're thinking. Because when we hear headline after headline, day after day about how this is the worst since, it is really easy for us to fall right back into that terror and that fear because we start having those same thoughts of it's all going to fall apart, everything's terrible, my portfolio is going to go to zero. I want us to recognize that it's our thoughts that are creating that emotion. And this is the season where we really need to do the work of paying attention to those thoughts and managing them well. Because we will either fall into a pit of despair, or we can pay attention to those thoughts and reorient our thinking and have different emotions that lead towards progress and productive activities that actually move us towards our goals rather than reacting and making decisions that move us away from our goals. And so prepare yourself for what's coming. The news will get worse, substantially worse, before it gets better. And that's okay. That's what the market was expecting. That's what we are expecting. And there is another side to this. This will likely be a very, very sharp recession, but it also may be a very, very short recession as well. And so stay connected to what you're thinking, pay attention to how it's affecting you, and do the work to have more intentional thoughts in this season. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll talk to you next week.